everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone. Today, co-hosting for the very first time, probably won't be the last time, with Denise Chadwick. Hi, Denise. How are you?
Hi, Kathy. I'm really good. How are you?
Good. So we're representing two continents, other sides of the world, and this is a worldwide broadcast. I don't know, I'm getting silly. But we're going to have a party this morning on Conscious Business Zone because Denise and I are co-hosting David Maria, and we do have a guest of Dr. William Spady, which is Dr. Bill to me, and that'll come in later today. So, Denise, why did you want to co-host with me today?
Because you and I and Bill have just done a wonderful course with the lovely David Maria. And David is your guest today. So I wanted to be present with you on this so that I could share some of my experience as well. And because I don't like to miss parties, I have fear of missing out. So
Well, it's more party time at your place than it is at ours. It's pretty early for David, so he'll be drinking tea or coffee instead of a beer. But so Denise, I want everyone to understand how magical you are so that they understand your recommendation of David Maria. Could you talk a little bit about your mojo with, in a modest way?
okay, so I've been an energy practitioner for 20 years now, but I started off my working life as a nurse. So I've always really been interested in the body, how it works. But before I left nursing and I got into energy work and Reiki, became a Reiki practitioner. So I started to look at the body in a very, very different way. I started to look at the body in terms of energy, which was very different. The biomedical model was great, but it what I've loved about the work that I've done since then is the expansion from that, and especially in terms of energy. And it's never been static. The energy work that I've done has always changed. And these days I do light language art, and I speak light language as well. So yeah, it's been a very interesting progression for me, really. So the stuff that David is doing on his course, I do a lot of inner work because when I got into this, I needed to. Like, my body was a mess. 20 years of nursing and the life that I was leading meant that I had a lot of stuff in my body, a lot of energy in my body that wasn't really supporting my body.
Right.
As I think we all do. So I've been on a journey since then of working with my body and working on getting it to being healthier, basically. And yeah, that's why David's course was so interesting for me, because a lot of the things that I've been working on were key integral parts of the course that he was doing.
Yes, that's what I found, that the work that he's doing, and we'll talk more with him in just a minute, is so advanced that you can do Reiki and energy healing and theta healing and all sorts of things. But to get to the core of reconnecting you to your soul and to release the obscurations from that is not the easiest work. You almost need a guide to do that. Right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, something was going to be said then, but it's disappeared.
Well, I find your work incredibly beautiful, and I love it. It's like it's tuned to my frequency. It's a joy to experience your light language. It's a joy to experience your art, and you are a gentle soul, and a collaborator like I am of spreading illumination. And that's why I think I love you so much, is that there's a handful of us that are brave enough to be out here looking crazy, doing this right now, right?
Yeah, thank you. And I've been hosting the Love Speaks Love show just on my, take out the just. I've been hosting the Love Speaks Love show on my personal page on Facebook and putting it on YouTube as well. And you're right, it's an interesting process to host. And you know, I haven't technically co-hosted like this before either, so I was quite intrigued how this would, you know, how this would work. But I love being able to speak to people and introduce others to, you know, to my guests. But it's an interesting time that we're all going through at the moment. I think a lot of us have been very inward. And I used to put more Facebook Lives out and other things as well, but I've really pulled back a lot. The only thing really that I've been doing regularly in those ways have been the Love Speaks Love show.
Right.
And it's actually going to be my 100th episode.
Right. That's so cool.
Time. So that's on Monday. And I wanted to, for that, mark it with something a little bit more out of the ordinary. So we're actually going to, and this is something that's dear to my heart because of my nursing. So we're going to kind of blast, zoom, whoosh, flush the planetary hospital network.
Perfect.
With energy.
Perfect.
And octahedrons are really important to me as well. One of the biggest activations I did in Australia when I lived there was this octahedron out to sea that I thought was a pyramid at first. When I first started working with it, it looked like a pyramid. But as it rose and rose and rose, I realized that it wasn't just a pyramid, that it was actually an octahedron, that it had the pyramid beneath as well. So yeah, that's something very, very dear to my heart. So that's what we're doing on Monday.
Well, 100, I think, I don't know how many I've done, probably 300 at this point. But the effort and the love that goes into, and the learning, I think it's expansive. I learn from every single person I talk to. So I can congratulate you and add a girl.
And honoring you for, you know, week in, week out, 2 shows, you know, I can't always do more than one. I tried to do 5 one week and it was just way too much.
When the IONS thing was on, I was doing 3 a week.
Wow.
And yeah, I got a little burnt. But anyway, but I loved the energy and I love the people. So why don't we, because I want to make sure we get a chance to have fun with David here. So I'm going to bring him in, okay? Are you ready? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, you two. And good morning, everybody that's joining us.
Yes. So David, we just took this wonderful class called Freedom from the Known. And I took the class just knowing I wanted to learn and go deeper with you, not really looking at the title, and then realizing, oh my God, we're peeling away the known. And could you talk about why you chose that in that process?
Surprisingly, that's just what came through as a title for the course, and it was only maybe 2 months after I began the first course that I discovered that Krishnamurti had written a book called Freedom from the Known. Right. And for me, it was the perfect title because everything that you know is what is standing in front of you as an impediment to actually connecting directly to source and bringing that energy into your body. Everything you think you know about how the world is, how it works, what people are, your belief systems, whatever your beliefs are, it doesn't really matter. Those are the things that are your personal impediments. Those are the walls and the veils that we all get to walk through. And I have mine too. I'm certainly not claiming to be totally finished with this.
Well, the thing that I loved about it is that it's filled, the participants are as are pretty advanced. So what we create is you're creating this hologram of a different level in the class. And you are very humble the way that you present, because you say, I don't know exactly what's happening, but I'm getting it too. So it's a co-creation rather than a guru. We're little grasshopper, and
If anything, in that way, I'm the grasshopper.
oh no, we all are.
Mm.
But the co-creation, could you talk about that a little bit? So, because I want to encourage everyone that's listening to this, after you get to hear Bill's explanation of his experience as well, I want you to really think about if you're ready to do this. This is big work. It is the work that will strip away the false self and the false constructs so that you can do your divine work here. And this is time. It's time to do it.
It's,
So,
it's definitely time. And not only is it time, the energy to do this work, to support you in those efforts, to aid you in walking through and basically hold you and help you ground. It's here. Not only is it here, it's here in phenomenal abundance. This is the moment. If you've known by any stretch of your imagination that there was going to be a time like this is it.
right.
The course itself is designed to be a really deep dive. It's a deep dive in consciousness, and it's a combination of activations and clearings to where it's a 10-week course, and we go through, we activate and then we clear, and then we activate and then we clear, and then we activate and then we clear, so that it's not just releasing a whole bunch of energy and then throwing you off to whatever devices that you can work with, so that you're not on your own. You're supported and helped and assisted the entire way of the journey. And it is very deep, as the two of you know. You've gone through it. There's several people in the class that have done it 3 times now and are planning on doing it a 4th time, because you just continue to go deeper.
Well, Bill's done it twice, so that's why I wanted to bring him too. But the I want to try to explain a little bit more what we're talking about. And Denise, do you have a way to explain the peeling off of the false frequencies? Do you have a way? Because it's visceral. It's like you're defrag. You take out an old program, and then for me it was like defrag.
And it goes to the source of where things are, what would be the word, overlaid. So it goes right into those overlays. And I think David's not doing this for us. David is guiding us through the process, and we're doing it ourselves, which is really important, because we have to, it's so much more empowering to be able to remove those layers yourself rather than have someone else do it for you. And the transmissions that come through, which I'm sure you have a base there, but they're kind of different every time. I would imagine, I've only done the course once, but it will also depend on the energy of the group as well, what actually comes through for the transmission. But they are very deep. And a lot of us, you know, there's been some of the ones that I've like been in and out of consciousness. You know, you can be very present one minute, and then the next you kind of gone, you know, you pulled out of your body so that the deeper stuff can go on.
Like, what did he say?
Where are we? What are we doing? And with the recordings as well, it's always really, I find it really interesting to listen for the second time. And if I've gone very deep the first time, I tend to find that the next time I can stay present with it much more.
Yes.
But it goes right to the core, and it really does go deep. you know, there's because it was 9 weeks when we did it, but I think you're extending it to 10 weeks.
10 weeks now, yes.
And it's all the things, I think I said this earlier, it's all the things that I've been working on in my own body and in my own inner work. So it's really complemented that. So things like the pain body, the fear body, the lack, you know, removing that illusion that there's not enough, that we're not in an abundant world. So everything is just really key to us moving forward. It's all those, they're kind of in some ways the basic building blocks of what we have to shift, if that makes sense.
Right. The human condition.
Yeah.
But this is what the alchemy that's coming out, and Bill will talk about this, about the productivity and the alchemy. I mean, when you're clear of those expressions that were programs and weren't really from your soul essence, you can create on a dime. I mean, it's amazing how productive you can be.
So if you imagine that your physical body is not necessarily physical.
Right.
We all know that we have energy bodies, auric bodies around us, and they are all frequency. They get more and more subtle and high frequency. The physical body is also a frequency. It's also an energy, and it is what is being mostly ignored these days, as far as I can see, in the ascension community, or people that believe in ascension, because that, from my perspective, that is not what we're doing. It's not what we're here to do. We are here to raise the frequency of the physical body, and we do that by cleansing all of these various layers that are overlaid on top of us. Our personalities, our familiar line, our cultural line, our national line, our religious beliefs, whatever we are. And as you remove those layers, because they literally are artificial overlays on top of the purity of who you are, as you remove those, what emerges is you as who you really are and always have been. You've just been playing a really good game of hide and seek with yourself.
Well, but I think this is what I have to say. I've worked on lots of this stuff before, but this worked. I feel the work somehow, either I was ready for it to work, or this actually, it was like we peeled off, literally peeled off the obstruction to the light. Anything, it's like we peeled it off and it stayed off. It wasn't like going to work with somebody and you're high for the weekend after a workshop, and then you go back to your stuff and you resume your old storyline. It's gone. So this is kind of advanced because some people are very enamored with their story, and you have to be ready to.
That's one of the layers to be able to pull off. And the important thing is what you also said, Kathy, is that I don't do this for you. I share a transmission that comes through in the moment, and it doesn't begin until the class is actually gathers, and when the class is over, that transmission as it manifests is complete. But each one of you are the ones that do the work. I not only don't do it for you, I can't do it for you. It's not possible.
That's cool. It's so cool. So is it okay? Is there anything else that we want, David, do we want to say anything else before Bill comes on and explains his experience?
I would say one thing, because you've mentioned this a couple of times, that this is very advanced work. which may sound to some of the listeners that are here, well, I'm not at that level, so this is not a course for me. That's not true. If listening to this information, you feel that resonance inside of you, that is that deep heart feeling, or just some connection wherever you're experiencing it, then this work is for you.
Well, I want to ask one thing before Bill comes on, about private versus a class like this. Some people don't want to do, the 10-week, even though there's a huge value in that. They're going, oh, I want to do 3 sessions, or I want a private. And how would you speak to the benefit of doing the group environment versus one-on-one?
You have the advantage of being in a group field. So when the class begins, the group begins to generate a field that is much, 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 much larger than what any of us can do on our own. We take advantage of the fact that there is this beautiful synergy that is happening between all of us. Everybody is contributing their energy, but that builds exponentially. It's not just one person's energy. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 1 + 1 = 4 = 8 = 16, etc. It expands exponentially. And that increase in the energy that's there makes it easier for everybody to go even deeper.
And in our group, we actually even worked on healing one of the participants. So, and you had said that was a unique experience too.
The group that you all participated in and that Bill participated in did an incredible linking in terms of opening their hearts. It happened in the second class, and everybody's hearts connected. And if you remember, I commented on it, and everybody in the group felt it. Everybody knew that it had happened. And then, as it turns out, one of the participants had cancer and was going in for surgery. So we dedicated one whole class to just working with that person, with helping them with what was coming up.
Yeah, so cool. So you guys really, if you can, I did put the link in the comments, and I'll put it also on screen in a moment. So if you go to that site, you'll see there is an early bird, and the next one starts first part of October 3rd. Is that correct?
It's the second, and the early bird registration ends this Wednesday, and it's the 20th. It ends the 23rd. Sorry, Thursday.
When I heard David's voice, that's when I knew it. In fact, I was brought to tears, because I had been asking, how do I hold more light? I want to do my soul mission. How do I hold more light to do my mission? And then I heard David speak, and it was like, okay, I'm in. How do I do this? What do I have to do? So there was no question that I was to do this experience and to continue with this. So I'm going to bring Bill on because he's been patiently waiting. Is that okay? Everybody, party time. One more person. Yay. This is cool. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, David. Denise, hi.
So, Bill, this is the reason we're so excited that you're here is we wanted to get someone who's had 2 experiences and also could explain because I know you've done lots of wonderful soul work and enlightenment work, and if you could give your experience or a little bit so that other people could understand, that would be great.
Well, yes, I have done a lot of work with different people, and it's been different, and it's been extremely revelational for me. I never believed that there was a soul essence in there different from my 3D reality in the world. So all that work that I did opened up more and more and more and more and more and more. And as you know, Kathy, I ended up writing a 400-page book about it, which you published. I mean, I couldn't believe it. But this course, literally from the time I decided to take the course the first time, let's say 4 or 5 months ago, every session has just opened up a deeper and deeper floodgate of what I'm going to call practical work for me. I'm a educational consultant and leader. I'm working with a group internationally, bringing a whole transformational model of education to the world. And I sort of thought, well, man, I've written more than one book about it for sure. I mean, it's like I've crossed the goal line, and having done this for decades and written all of this, it's like, well, what else is there for me to learn about what I'm doing? And the floodgates have opened, and it's been insight after insight after insight after framework after deeper and deeper and deeper. Some of them have even happened in the course of the classes themselves. But every class I've taken has evoked yet a deeper layer of this work, and has opened me more to what is my real mission here. And I've been hiding from, because it's the world of education and everything is all practical and everything is all prescribed in education, and there's curriculum for this and curriculum for that. I was really fearing that the education community internationally was just not open to this kind of work at all. And the reality is they are, and I have opened. And my courage factor in stepping forward with that work as an expression of and an extension of the work I've been doing is just like, oh my gosh, oh, more and more and more has come. I have gotten particular benefit from listening to every class multiple times.
Yes.
Okay. So we do them on Saturday mornings for me here on the West Coast of the US. Okay. And then David usually by the next day has the recording out. And I have it on some occasions, because of the way the class worked, I have listened to that class 5 more times. Okay. Before, honestly, and before the next Saturday, and every time it has opened up more and more and more. Okay, so the recordings are a huge benefit. The classes, the accumulative effect is just enormous. And then taking the course the second time, where every time it has, I'm all ready for how this, okay, this is class number 4 and it does this, and I'm all ready for it. Surprise, there are new elements in it. It works differently. It opens up more. And I mean, it has been an incredible growth experience for me. And I'm translating that directly into all of the work I'm doing. Okay? So the benefit is going to be for all those people out there in all those countries that are interested in this work. They're going to get a deeper, richer, more significant version of that in everything we do, everything our group does. So, I mean, I am incredibly grateful for the experience. And I'm going to take it a third time.
I think the fact that so many of us are taking it again or are continuing with it, it shows the level of amazement and benefit that we've all realized. I mean, I think that's why we all wanted to be here, right, Denise? Is that I mean, we've all taken lots of courses and worked with shamans and some. I haven't done plant medicine, but there's lots of other processes that we've done, and this kicked my butt in a good way.
Bill,
and I want everyone else to have it.
You mentioned something pretty important, Bill, and that is that at one point you were trepidous about stepping out there and about how it would be received. And
Yes.
really and truly, and this applies to everybody. This isn't me. This isn't just the four of us here. This is everybody. We're here to embody who we really are. And that is really big work. It's not impossible work. It might be difficult sometimes, but it becomes really joyous the more that you do it. But what I'm really trying to say is that at a certain point, as we continue to remove all of these artificial things that aren't us, the energetic overlays that are on top of us, the frequency of our body rises, and our body literally begins to ascend, because our body is not just physical. We all know that all matter is energy. It's matter and energy flowing like this in a sine wave. One millisecond it's solid, and the next millisecond it's just an energy field. As we do that, the frequency of our body ascends, and then our souls come into it, or our spirits come into the physical body. At that point, we begin to embody who we really are. We become the essence of what we're here to do, and we become the living embodiment of it. And it's everybody. And you're all, the three of you, you're literally really doing it. You're embodying yourself, and as you do that, that's who you are. There's no artifice about you anymore. You just are who you are. You're as a soul, as a spirit, you're who you are and what you're here to do, what you're here to bring, to be able to share with everybody. And I do that same work too.
Well, one of the ones that really had high impact for me, one of the sessions, was when we collapsed all timelines and allowed all of our timeline
Your incarnations
to land. That was so strong for me.
So from my perspective, and realize that there's lots of others, so it's just a perspective. So for me, all of what we consider to be past lives or future lives or whatever it might be, they're all happening in this moment. Right. They're all concurrent. And the word that we use sometimes, which is enlightenment, if enlightenment is a 10 trillion light year journey, or the journey to enlightenment, the actual moment of enlightenment is just a millisecond blip on that path, on that journey. Yeah. And it's the conscious realization of all of our lives simultaneously, because we're living in all of those other realms. And those lives are separated by the artificial construct that we call time and space, which from my perspective are just GPS coordinates. Right. It's like, you want to get to Chicago? Well, here's how you go to Chicago. You want to go to Chicago in the 1800s? Okay, that's fine. And when you really look at what's happening now, all of those timelines are collapsing anyway. That's part of what's happening. And so this is just part of the process that it allows that to happen in shall we say, I'm hesitant the word to use controlled, because there really isn't any control over any of this. It's more we allow it to gently and gracefully happen because we're doing it consciously.
I think we're welcoming it. I know what Bill said, by doing some of these sessions 5 times, he's requesting the universe to help him land more and more and more of his souls, and he has multiple souls, his souls in his vessel.
Yeah. And as you know, anytime we say yes to something, the moment that we say yes, it begins to work in us. And everybody in the current class knows that in the invocation at the beginning of it, all of these beings that we don't know who they are showing up, and they are people that have already said yes, but they have not connected directly with doing a class. So Bill happens to be someone that enthusiastically says yes day after day after day by re-listening to the recordings. So
Yes, I don't know. Denise, could you explain what your favorite or your most powerful session was?
That's a difficult one. There might be more than one that I can't necessarily separate from each other. The final one, the connection to source, I found really, really, really powerful. And also the one where removal of the pain body was one that I was particularly interested in. That was one that that got my interest in the course in the first place, because that was something particularly that I've been working with and with quite a lot of pain in my body for so many years. And although already since last December I'd made a lot of progress with that, I just felt, something else to really push that process further would be of benefit. So that one was really helpful as well. But also the one, and I think this was, if I recall correctly, going up the spine, but the one where we were going through all of the joints. So like all of the joints, hands, and throughout the body. So probably those three are my favorite one.
Okay.
and if I could, Kathy, the course is organized around approximately 10 to 11 individual classes, and I present them in a quote unquote lineal fashion, while at the same time realizing there is no linearity in here. This is a shamanic journey, and what each person experiences is what each person experiences. Some people experience the last things first. Some people experience the first things last. It's like throwing all the pieces up, and then you get to pick up the one that you're the most attracted to in that particular moment. But I do present them in a quote unquote a fashion that is designed to activate and then do some clearing, and then activate again and then do some more clearing.
Well, I just want everyone to know how much more aligned you can be with who you really are at a divine level and have access to your superpowers. And that's the way I look at it, because the joy you have when you release the pain body, the fear body, who needs it? I mean, well, I mean, that is what we're living in. This chaos is pure. It's a manufactured fear machine, and when you don't have to have that evoked in you, it's interesting to watch rather than. And then if you feel like you're falling back into it, you can just listen to the recording again and do another process on yourself.
Or just remind yourself that you're not the fear. And I mean, and let's be really clear. There's real fear, like your life is in danger.
Like a fire.
Like a fire, you're driving down the road and your car starts skidding or something like that.
Yeah.
That's real fear. We're talking about artificial fear that is not real. The kind of fear that keeps people frozen in their living rooms, watching the media over and over and over, basically tell you, go outside, don't go outside, you're going to die. You're going to catch some kind of life-threatening disease or whatever it is. And it's just getting rid of that artificial overlay and allowing the real you that's always there. It's there. It's there. Everybody knows it's there. You can feel it. Even if it's in your dreams, you still know it's there, and just allow it to come out.
Right. But this, some processes, they have a lot of tears, they have a lot of, it's like you feel like you're doing a breakthrough session and you have to be fearless to do it. And this is nothing like that. This is it makes sense. It's do you know what I'm trying to say, Denise or Bill?
Yes, I had, there's a class, I guess it was about 3 weeks ago, where, David does an orientation. We exchange ideas, experiences from the last week, all before we start. And he always asks, does anyone else have anything they want to share before we begin? And he does that 2 or 3 times. Sometimes people at the last minute they do. And he said that, and I had these 2 incredible beliefs that I was holding, okay, in just incredibly inhibiting beliefs associated with having to work hard in order to get anywhere in life, kind of thing. And they hit me, okay, literally a split second before he was ready to start our process. And I said, I just have to share this. And it just came then, all right? And I articulated it, and we began the work. And when the class was over and our process was over, they were gone. They had dissipated absolutely completely. And there was no struggle, there was no crying. I have gone through plenty of those in the work that, the work I've done, but they dissipated. They just weren't there anymore. And the whole emotional hold, the energetic emotion that they had, it just vanished. And that is when things really have opened up for me, okay? To get rid of this idea that I had to work really hard, and if I didn't work hard, then I didn't deserve anything good happening because I had to earn it. And I know there are countless people out there holding that same kind of energy. And it was just, yeah. So the answer is yes. And you never know when it's coming. You never know when the quote breakthrough might happen, or in what form, or what will release it. But I have been so grateful because I've gone into observer mode. I see people carrying on all this drama and all this stuff, and oh my God, their life is falling apart, or they're control freaks, okay? And I say, well, okay, they're doing their control freak thing. I don't have to buy into that. There is just no energetic attachment to that kind of thing. And it is just, and believe me, in all the work I do and all the people I encounter, okay, there's plenty of all of it. And it just seems like it's just attracting more and more and more of the people who really resonate with, I think, the kind of energy I project and manifest. The attractor factor is wonderful, because harmony and resonance really, really, really happen. So for that, man, I'm incredibly grateful.
Perfect.
And I'm sure there's a lot of programs that we're not even aware that we're working with. That's awesome that you were shown those before and then just felt them dissipate. But I feel there's a lot going on behind the scenes as well, where we're operating on certain programs that we don't even know, and they can shift. I don't think we always have to be conscious of those either. They can just.
Oh, they were unconscious. They just suddenly, the words just came flooding out of my mouth suddenly. Okay, it's not that I was all aware of that and trying to work on it in therapeutic sessions. It's like, wow, there it is. And it just came out and I could deal with it. And the dealing was just release.
To release, yeah.
Just release.
The story that's involved in any of those doesn't really matter. It's just the trapped energy. of whatever the trauma or the belief system. A belief system is like a box that you take your consciousness and you put it in there and you say, okay, this is what I believe. And oh, by the way, this is how it is. This is what I believe. And there's no other possibility. It's a fixed reality. It's not going to change. I know that I'm right. And therefore everybody else that doesn't believe this is wrong or incorrect. Man, that's a really difficult way to live. That's so much tension. And just to allow yourself, just to completely allow yourself to naturally be who you are. Underneath all of the old stuff that we haven't composted, all of the wrappers and stuff that's in the garbage that we haven't emptied out in so very long. It's all just stuff that kind of puts this veil in front of us that we can't see ourselves. And all we're doing is just cleaning. That's all we're doing is just, and mostly just cleaning and allowing ourselves to just be. You three have heard me say many, many times, you don't have to do anything. You just have to allow it to work with you and allow it to happen. Just be.
Yes, but the doing gets more creative, and the doing gets more, I'll call it, beneficial to others. Okay, it's not just your own doing show because you are driven to achieve and achieve and achieve. It's that the doing, we all do. The doing is just enriched. Okay, it seems to me with a deeper grounding.
What I meant, Bill, is that there's nothing that we have to do in order to grow into who we are.
Yes.
We don't have to do anything to become. We already are. Every single one of us is a fractal of Source, is a fractal of God. And as such, every single fractal from that original source is that original source. That's who we are. That's who we've always been.
I think what I've also experienced what Bill is talking about, where my productivity has been amazing, and I don't have the it's almost like my self-confidence came back because the fear was I pulled the fear off of me so that I'm not wasting any of that time. I'm just deciding. And then I test, and it's like, if this is right, then I just go do it. And I want to encourage everyone to experience this so that they can do that, because that's why we stood in line to get bodies to be here right now. This huge time was to show up and illuminate and help each other play and co-create this new world. I truly believe this is like maybe even though it may seem the most chaotic time, it's an opportunity to co-create at a very high level. And when you're in this class, you're meeting people from all over the world that want to do that too. So although I haven't seen that much happen from that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if some amazing projects come out of this group.
There's three people doing amazing work right here.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
David, I've got a question for you, and I'm not even sure how to. It's an inkling of a question. I'm not even sure how to word it, and I'm not even sure if you can answer it. But so I'm curious. When you mentioned earlier about all of our hearts expanding, I'm curious how it is for you seeing or perceiving, however you do perceive it, the field of energy that all of us are in. I'm curious as to whether it's a collective field of energy and whether within that you can kind of like, you can perceive the individual in that, or whether it is just one, whether, because we're all co-creating in this together, whether all of our fields kind of merge. And anything, I don't know if you're really getting what I'm asking, but how that is for you holding the space.
We each hold an individual energy field, and that is our core energy. So when I feel or look at a person, what I see is not just a physical body. My experience is a series of interpenetrating fields that are operating off of, in some cases, the major energy centers in the body. Sooner or later, those centers they completely merge into more like a column rather than individual distinct centers. So I see each individual as they are, or feel them as they are, as an energy field, assuming that I'm able to actually perceive who they really are. So remember that we can only create and co-create to the level that we've cleared ourselves. And if we're in the presence of somebody that has done way more work than we have, we might not quite see them accurately because we're not able to, perceive the truth of who they really are. But then there's this large collective field. I have sometimes described the collective as being like a 100 million ton runaway freight train that is just running on its own momentum. And that's a very difficult thing to change. You don't just stand up in front of a train like that, or just any train, and say stop and expect them that they're going to stop, because they can't. There's all this momentum that is involved in it. And yet each one of us, as anything that any one of us clears within ourselves, that freedom from that release now goes into the field that is available to everybody. So everything that you have cleared, the three of you, everything that any of us has cleared, it goes into the field of potentiality and possibilities, and it's available to everybody if they're willing to go through whatever steps are necessary for them to go through in being able to clear that. So if you've been through sexual trauma, then you clear that completely and you clean it. It's no longer a part of your field. That freedom is expressed in the collective field, and somebody else that has experienced that level of abuse can step into that because you've done the heavy lifting for them already. Makes it easier for everybody else. And of course, there is always the fact that the field is quantum. So it doesn't take nearly as much. This is not like an election where, there has to be a clear-cut winner one way or the other, 51% or 49% or whatever. It doesn't take that much to make a huge quantum impact on the collective. So just looking simply at things like the way that advertising agencies work, if they want to introduce a new product into Seattle or New York or Chicago or whatever, they don't send out flyers and TV ads trying to reach everybody. If they know that if they reach 12% of the population, all of a sudden everybody knows about this product. And that's because we are in a collective field. We all share in the same field. Look how many inventions have happened where people have filed patents, or there have been Nobel Prize discoveries that happen almost exactly at the same time. That's because all of these things are in the field. And anybody that can perceive them can grab them. And sometimes people grab them at the same time and begin working on them. So every little piece that we do has an impact. Where the quantum point where we come to, where it really flips, or what that looks like, I don't have a clue. I'm completely clueless, and I don't know anybody that has a really clear picture of what that is or what that will look like, because there is the current world that we're living in, But as we also know, there's a new world that is being created from the inside out, and it's emerging at the same time. They're coexisting. They interpenetrate, just like all of the dimensions do. All of the versions of Earth, they interpenetrate together. So we go out into the world, and it's a normal world, like what it was when we were children. But we're not the same.
Right.
So there's a new energy that is being introduced to everybody that we meet, even if it's like yesterday, I went grocery shopping and it's remembering to take off my sunglasses so that I can look the clerk that's waiting on me, that's checking me out, so that I can look them in the eye and smile, and they can see my eyes, and I can wish them a nice day. Just simple things like that, they make huge differences in how the collective responds. So it's like throwing a pebble into a pond and watching the ripples spread out from it. That's kind of what we do. Is that wherever we go, there are these ripples of new frequencies and people feel them, even if they're not conscious of it. They still feel them. So sometimes you make somebody's day. Sometimes somebody's just just a horrible rain cloud, and you smile at them, and it changes for them. So I hope that answers your question. I know that I can ramble sometimes, Denise. So.
I would. Oops, somebody. Is it Denise? Nope. I don't know whose it is. It might be Bill's. All I wanted to say is that this is an opportunity to find your joy. This is a fast, 10 weeks sounds like a lot of time, but it is not. And even if you fall asleep during the class, you get it, because several people fall asleep every time and wake up and go, oh, what happened? But something happened. Could you talk about that a little bit too, David, about the ease of this? Because I think a lot of people, because of doing plant medicine and some of these other big processes, might be a little afraid of the big work.
Well, whether it's me or with another guide, it doesn't really matter. This is the work that we're all here to do now, and it is time. And even if you feel trepidous inside of yourself, if especially if it like escalates, if you feel like a sense of panic, maybe even full-blown terror, that's as far as I'm concerned, that's a sure-blown sign that you're being asked to come, because that trepidation is just the wall that is in front of you, that when you cross the veil, you go, oh my God, what was I afraid of? So it's always really interesting to watch how people respond to hearing it. But no, there's no need to fear. This work is not too big, not at all. We're all here to do this work. This is why we're here. And not only are you ready, but the amount of support that is available, both physical and energetic. I mean, if you really feel into the field around you, there are untold number of beings standing with us that are only here to help. They're only here to help each one of us walk through this, myself included. I am not done cooking yet.
Yes. Well, I wanted to make sure that everyone knew where to go and the best way to reach David. His website is theedentemplate.com, and if you go to previous Conscious Business Zones or go to Denise's interviews with David, you can learn more about his story of how he was activated to do this work. And there is some of that on his website. The name of the course that we're all so excited that we've taken is called Freedom from the Known. And it's also in the comments. So any last statements, anyone?
Can I just quickly ask David?
Yes,
If
please.
people don't want to do the whole course, but there's one or two of these that are really jumping out at them that they want to do, can they just do those?
Yes and no. There's some classes like the removing the fear body, the pain body, and the lack bodies. I don't offer outside of the course. All of the rest of the components, I offer them individual. If you'll give me just one second to look at my schedule.
And I'll just play while you're doing that.
On the 16th, I will 16th of October, I'll be offering the first level class or the first session class, and then I'll be offering a class in the series every 2 weeks up through December 11th. It doesn't get all the way through the series, but the next week on the 18th, I go back to Africa again for three or 4 weeks.
And people also get a session from you as well when they're on the course, don't they? That's
People
included in the
a one-on-one session is included in the course, and those are always available to anybody that wishes them. You don't have to do anything else with me if you don't want to. And I'm offering them at 30% off right now. They're on sale.
Wow.
So.
Well, I hope people will take the plunge and do the whole class and see how different their world is after such a short time. And those of us that are going to keep going, we hope you'll join us with this experiment in consciousness, because that we're looking for joy. We're looking for the reason why we came here and to change and create the new earth. And I would love to have other playmates.
It's always a blessing to have you join us.
Anything else, Bill, that you want to say? Or
I just wanted to say David is very generous with his time. He is absolutely there for every person in the class. He has a great sense about who really needs some attention, who really needs the group support that we offer, because that has been a big surprise and a real deep reality for me. And I know, I mean, we've mentioned it now, but the way our class has energetically come together as a cohesive, resonant body, almost in and of itself, and the degree of rapport people have with each other, as diverse as those people are, it's been a wonderful aspect, totally unanticipated aspect of the experience for me, and I deeply appreciate that part.
thank you. Denise, anything else real quick before we sign off? Nope.
No.
David, anything else?
Just thank you, everybody, for being here. I can feel your presence, each and every one of you, and it is a blessing just to be able to feel you. And I look forward to working with you and joining with you in whatever way that it resonates with you. I certainly look forward if you come to this class, and even if you don't come to the class, I look forward to continuing to meet you energetically on the inner planes.
Yes, and let's all create the world we want, rather than what is apparent now. That's what we came here to do. So thank you, David. Thank you so much. And thank you, Bill and Denise, my co-host. We'll have to do this again. Yeah, thank you so much. So gotta sign off, sorry, but we'll have to do this again.
Denise, congratulations on your upcoming 100th broadcast.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to being there.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a grand day.
Thank you.